Hi, it's Mark here again. I would usually use a wee story and I usually tell folk about how we eat on average about 20 spiders in our lifetime at night. You can imagine when we're sleeping, you get your mouth open, spider comes along, poof, um, you just chew it, it goes down, going disgusting and all, horrible. Ah, especially if you've got a wee bit of arachnophobia. I don't. I'm brave. Don't worry. Aye, right. Well, that's a myth. It's not true. If you can imagine, the instinct of most animals, most insects, is survival. They're not going to crawl into a big mouth, hot breath during the night. They're frightened of you. I know that's hard to believe with some spiders, but it is true. You're big, much bigger than them. You're a threat. There's no way in which they come close to you. They want to get away from you. They are frightened of you. So they're not going to come anywhere near you. It's not going to happen. However, that story came around in the early 1990s, mid 1990s. It's when the web started to really take off. And it was a student in the States who, the lassie, decided that she wanted to show to the world how people will believe anything that they read. Now, years ago, people did believe most what they read. They didn't question it. If something was published and it was in a book and you went to the library and you read it, it must be true. People did question things. They weren't totally silly, but they'd question some things, but they didn't have the same ability to capture the information as what we can nowadays. So, what we've got to think about is, can we use and trust everything that we're told? No, but you can still use it and you can keep it and you maybe think about it. So what we're going to do here is we'll think about the evaluation of the information that we get from websites and web pages. So we might read things or see something or hear something. What we've got to think about is that something that I can definitely use and trust? Or is it something which might have flaws in it, but you might still use it? So nothing is totally 100% in life. We have to question things and keep on questioning. So I'm going to take you through certain things here. So as an example that I've got for you, evaluating a website, there's headings and then I've given you some leading questions and some ideas on this as well. So the currency, how recent is the information? Is it valid? Is it still valid now? Or is it old information which is consigned to history and has been overwritten by more up-to-date information? Not that we would totally forget about history or the old things, it's just we want to know how recent this information is and how current it is that we could maybe use. For example, you don't want to know about legislation back in the 1800s. You want to know about legislation that might have been passed just last year, for example. Maybe. So we want to know how current the information is on a web page. There's various different ways we can find that out. So we can look to see when it was written or when it was updated. There might be a mention of news when it is, whether it was old or new, and some sort of date somewhere, something that would give you an indication as to when that was written or published. So what we do is we look for these ideas on how you can decide whether it's current. You don't just write down, yes, it's current. What you do is you say, is it current and why? If you can't find anything, then you say that. I can't find anything that details that, and then you know that you don't know if it's current or not. But detail out and write down how you looked for it. Where did you look? Did you look for any link to Facebook or any other social media, Twitter, which was up to date? Or did you look to see if there was an updated when it was written, a date somewhere? Legislation. Was there any legislation and any dates of the legislation that it referred to? Can you corroborate with another website, for example? Okay, so you would look to see something. If you were searching on Google and you restricted that using the tools there that you've got, where you can restrict it down to news, maybe within the past week or the past month, you then know how recent that is, possibly. It gives you an idea. So you would write that down as well. Reliability. How reliable is the source that you are getting this information from? If it's from me, then it's going to be totally unreliable, of course. Not entirely. I wouldn't give you a bum steer. I wouldn't tell you something that wasn't true. I would not put you in the wrong direction. I wouldn't give you information that I didn't think was reliable myself. Now I am reliable. I'm a lecturer. I'm fully qualified. I'm trained, and I'm ethical as to what I do. I wouldn't give instructions on how to strip down the engine of a motor vehicle, for example. There's no way I could do that. But I could give you instructions and tell you how to strip down a computer and how to build a computer and how to fix computers. That's not a problem. And you could trust me on that and it would be reliable. So you look to see whether someone that's giving you the information is reliable or whether the website is reliable. But you want to know how reliable it is and why. So you would actually say to yourself, is it from a strange source? Or is it from somewhere that you could trust? So for example, you get it from a website of, say, Reuters news agency, or you get it who is very reliable and they have a reputation. So there's the reputation bit there. So you get reasons for reliability, qualifications, experience, knowledge, reputation. And also, what have they got to lose if they get it wrong? So ITN News, for example, they ran a story years ago to do with Madeleine McCann. There was a wee bit in their eye, which they corrected. They shouldn't have, because it was a false story, false photograph. So it was false, untrustworthy, not reliable. So you look to see web pages as well. Level of difficulty. This is more to do with, would you use the website again? How easy was it? Was the navigation okay? So you think about, how did you navigate? Did you navigate around there quite easily? Did you identify the links? Was it easy to identify the links? Was it too colourful? Or was there distraction pictures? Was there lots of video? So you answer these questions and you put that into these words. Bias. Almost everything has got a bias. Almost everything. You might say that it doesn't, but does it show a bias? Is there a possibility of a bias? So I'll get an example here. You decide to go for a holiday and they say the beach is only 2 minutes away. Well, 2 minutes by Concorde or by the fastest plane nowadays? Or is it 2 minutes by car or 2 minutes walk? Again, there's a bias there. They're saying, oh, it's not that far away. So you've got to think about what the bias is. Are they trying to cut costs? Is it someone telling you that there's a need to do things differently just so that you can cut costs? Relevance. How relevant was your search? How relevant was the website to your search for that information? Appropriateness of format. Was it too wide, too long, difficult to print? Was there software that you had to use you didn't want to? Was it all movies? So you just say what you think about the appropriateness of that web page. And the last one is, would you use it again? Summarize it, give the good, the bad, and the ugly. No search strategy is perfect, it can always be improved. So what you want to do is to say what went well with your evaluation, what could you use, what couldn't you? It's all a summary. Okay, thanks for watching. I hope it's helped. Bye.